Outstanding, the ultimate accolade for teachers. We challenge primary teacher Halima Hussain to go from good to outstanding. A top inspector will observe one lesson. 2 experts will fine-tune her practice and beef up her presentation. She then gets 2 weeks to take on the advice before the inspector comes back for the final verdict.
Going to outstanding? Hold on. That's actually a big thing.
Show me how it tastes.
Comme ci, comme ça.
So, just let's put things together and just try to take the principles you just learned by communicating how to make a cup of tea onto this chair.
Okay, you'd get your tape measure, so stretch it out and read out how tall it is.
Great.
How was that?
How was this?
A lot easier demonstrating and talking rather than just talking at the children, expecting them to go ahead and do it.
You also highlighted with your articulation the words which you felt were crucial, like bottom
Yes.
and zero, etc. Got the idea?
I actually treated you like a child there. Demonstrations are very important, and she taught me that. Using my body helps myself and the children, so that was a bigger shock to me, thinking, oh, gestures, is it such a big deal? But yes, actually it is a big deal for the children and for myself.
Back at school, Halima and Deputy Head Elizabeth Bradshaw reflect on last week's observation.
Put these in your books, tidy up everything, leave everything and get your coats and line up.
In an ideal world, everyone would fit in a perfect plenary.
It was rushed, and I should have actually thought, okay, we're not going to go to our tables and we're not going to look at our results, we're just going to look at them together on the carpet.
Maybe if you just kept their results as they recorded them and then ranked the whole class on the interactive whiteboard as an activity that you do all together. Yeah.
So, with Halima's final observation just weeks away, it's back to the classroom to put all that advice into action and raise her game.
So your learning intention is to classify and describe the differences between solids and liquids. I do believe I did articulate my words, and I used gestures. I used as much gestures as I could in that lesson. So you're going to get each object, you're working as a whole table on your topic table, okay? Topic tables. One of the things that I should have done more was getting the children to go back and forth from table, doing an activity, coming back again. And in this science lesson, I got them to actually go quite quickly to do some classification, then come back and then go back. So throughout the lesson, we were doing quite a few movements rather than sitting there the whole time. Try and describe how it looks. It moves. Good boy. So put that in the right place, Daniel, and then next person does the next one.
Okay, can you find the marbles for me?
I've used my EAL coordinator quite effectively by getting her to interact with the children throughout the lesson, not just during the main activity, but also on the carpet. Yes, miss?
But we talked about what happens when you move the cup. What happens to the tea when we move the cup? And what did we talk about?
Polar seems to want to say something there.
It's tea moves.
Say that again?
It moves.
It moves,
Yeah,
exactly.
it moves.
Liquids, always, when you put it in a container, the surface levels off. Can you see that it's straight, it levels? I did use a lot of the ideas about my body and moving around. I used actual things to show the children what I was talking about. When I was talking about liquid, I would actually bring the liquid out and pour it to show them what I'm talking about. Okay, we're going to have to stop and get ready for playtime. Can you get me a bell? Today in science we will be measuring the volume and make careful observations of lots of different types of liquid. Whoever measures things at home or in class? Anyone? Hands up? I always do. So this skill you're going to be learning today in science is very important at home, at school, in all different places. I took a lot of John's advice on in this lesson, relating things to real life and explaining things clearly. Now, why do you think your measurements are completely different?
The jugs are different sizes and you measure it in different.
It's not a case of the jugs are necessarily different sizes. We know they're different sizes, but the jugs were produced inaccurately. One of the biggest part of what John taught me was if results don't go according to plan, that's fine. Tell the children that and explain why. The people who made these jugs didn't make them as accurately as they could have. That's why that table's results were very, very different. Okay? I definitely think I'm making progress from my very first observation. I can see it quite clearly. Before it was sort of, I'd have to consciously think I've got to do this in the lesson. And because I'm using it all the time, it's quite natural now.
With Judgment Day looming, Halima gets some last-minute advice from John Stringer.
Linking it to real life, I used it as I've asked a child to get me X, Y, Z solids, and the child would put them all into one container, whereas I wanted them into separate containers. Is that a reasonable link to real life?
I think there'd be there's some gardening and building opportunities here as well, you know, because there's builders need to work with different sizes of gravel and stones and so on. The one I always use, of course, is the great mistake where things have got mixed accidentally and I want to separate them again.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, John.
Let us know how you get on.
I will do.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I'm actually worried about whether I'd get to outstanding. I know it might not necessarily happen because it's a lot to do in such a short time. So I'm aware of the fact that I won't necessarily get to that stage. It might happen in a year or two, but just the idea of not getting there after all this hard work is actually quite upsetting.
The day of Halima's final observation has arrived.
I'm kind of a bit excited about doing it. So right now, the nerves haven't kicked in. 3.
Claire Gillies is back, and it's crunch time.
The last time I observed her, her teaching was definitely good, so I'm really interested to see what strategies she's taken on board to make her teaching even better.
Okay, today in science, you'll be choosing appropriate apparatus for separating a mixture of solids. Let's look at our vocabulary. Solid.
Solid.
We've looked at lots of solids. Stevie, can you name me one solid?
A rock.
Fantastic. Larger.
Larger.
Everyone do something larger. Very good. Smaller.
Smaller.
Show me smaller than large. Good. Apparatus.
Apparatus.
We're going to use apparatus to separate the mixtures. What does that mean? Polar.
It's something that we're going to use.
Fantastic. Something we're going to use. A type of tool, okay? Some jobs require you to separate different solids that are mixed together. If you're a gardener, gardeners sometimes have to separate the stones from their soils, or builders have to separate things. So let's see if you can use that skill and then use it at home when you need to.
The way Mrs. Sin explained the learning intention was very good. I understand what to do, and if you ask me a question based on that topic, I will know it.
Here's a bowl full of a mixture of solids, and you're going to first plan of which solid you're going to take out first. And I want you to write that down in your books.
So first of all, we need to take out the coins and paper clips so that they're separate. Then we do the big particles, okay?
If you put all of that in there, all the
But what do we want to come out? The sand. Will the sand go through the sieve?
We worked as a whole table while the others were working in threes, and we had 2 bowls, but we worked as a whole table to communicate with each other.
Now, who would like to do the separation of the marbles? Let's see if Iqbal can do it effectively. Could you possibly use 2 spoons to help you out? Go on then, Shannon. Good teamwork, this group. All right.
liquid. No, there's rice left and the sand. I finished it again. We should have done the sand last.
Okay, think about what you've just said, because we're going to talk about that.
It was interesting because I never knew that you could actually use like a spoon to separate two different solids.
Now I'm going to ask you to share if you were able to separate all the solids from the mixture. Naeem,
First we done the sand and the rice.
with your one, what went wrong though?
We should have done the sand last of all.
They decided to do the sand, removing the sand from the rest of the materials first. Now when you do that, and you've got coins and you've got cubes, what happens to the sand?
It goes into the magnetic stuff and
into the cubes? They went inside the cubes, so you didn't actually remove all the sand, did you, Miss McDougall?
Danielle, what did we do first in our group?
Oh, okay. Did it work?
Danielle?
Yeah, it just kept on shaking the sieve.
Ah, putting the whole contents into the sieve straight away would have been a lot easier, and it would have worked just as effectively by the looks of it. Thank you for letting me know. Excellent.
With all that expert advice and weeks of practice behind her, will Halima have made the grade from good to outstanding?
Halima, thank you very much. I really enjoyed seeing all that incredible thinking going on in that science lesson. You could really feel their brains were buzzing. We had some really good fun, and they worked very hard, and I hope you felt pleased with what they'd achieved in the time. It was a very stimulating lesson all round, and it's some of the things behind that really contribute to that. And the sort of key ones I jotted down, I thought, was the very careful planning, particularly of the groups. That it wasn't just, this is the absolute top ability group, this is the absolute weaker group at all, because you had some positioned in a way that they would bring on some of those who weren't quite so strong at writing or whatever. Your opening was warm and welcoming, and you did, I wrote down, use some very nice sort of hand gestures for sort of large and small and all those. It was just wonderful to see some of the unusual thoughts emerge. I mean, I know we both enjoyed that table, didn't we? The one in the corner.
They didn't think, oh, we could just put it all into the sieve. I don't know why it didn't connect with them. Maybe they thought they had to use an implement to transfer it, possibly.
And it's, in a way, you could argue it's healthy for them to sort of go off at tangents and sort of have some strange ideas. That whole sort of lovely human touch at the end when you say, well, I've learned something there, when they when they were confronting you with a different way of doing something. I was glad they pointed that
out. My additional adult thought, oh, the children are not mentioning it, so she'll mention it.
I was going to say another strength was what she did with her group. You know, she really did keep them focused, moving on. She was certainly helping, wasn't she?
She's very good with
to keep the lesson going on fast. I think if we look at it as a whole, I think we really can see that although I'm sure there's one or two little things you'd say, oh, I wish that had happened or whatever, that it was an outstanding lesson overall, because they really learnt hard, they really worked hard, and you were guiding them, and I was very happy to watch it, so thank you again.
Thanks a lot. I didn't realise how much it would mean to me, but I feel like now I can do so much more than I could do before. My lessons are going to be really good from now on because I know I can do it. I can't wait to my next science lesson. So happy.